Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We're coming to you live here from our studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the first impression session of our PSI Presents stream, where we show off games in PSI's catalog. Tonight, we had the pleasure of showing off Paper Tales by Stronghold Games. But first off, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
And we are Twist Gaming. Thank you all for joining us. So, a little bit of a primer. We just got done with our PSI Presents playthrough of Paper Tales, and we were so kind enough to have Stephen Bonacore from Stronghold Games join us live here in studio. He's sitting about 5 feet behind you guys right now, munching on some pretzels. Thank you so much for joining us here, Stephen. First article of business here is going to be, what kind of game is Paper Tales? I'm going to throw this over to Josh because Josh did the rules explanation for us today.
That's not why.
And he is the resident board gaming expert here at Twist.
So Paper Tales is it's a victory point game where you're doing some hand drafting, you have some card tableaus, and you're doing a lot of different cool combos, generating points, and you're going to war with your neighbors. So you're playing against your left and your right player. So the bigger the game, you're only kind of
interacting with people
with
immediately
two people.
next to you.
Yeah. A little bit kind of like Seven Wonders, but this has its own game.
All right.
Why is it that you can pronounce the word tableau? Things like both trip you up.
I'm a special person.
So the first thing that we talk about here in our first impression session is our favorite aspects of the game. And typically we start with the winner. So I'm going to throw it down again to that end of the table to Josh. Josh, you were the winner this evening.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite aspects of the game?
So I want to make a point. Normally with our playthrough games, it's our first time we've played the game. We typically don't play it before the stream. We're kind of just first time going through it. We had Matt and I had the chance to play this at Dice Tower Con with
Correct.
Bari.
That's this one.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Bigger box.
Bigger box. But so this is my second playthrough. So it let me learn a little bit more about the game and the mechanisms behind it.
So you got to kind of dig a little bit
Yeah.
deeper than we ordinarily get to.
Yeah, since I had a playthrough and I kind of knew how things were working, and I found out some combos the first time I played, I really enjoy finding all these cool little combos you can do and do some really neat things. I played a very similar strategy to my first game,
Right.
but I found some cool combos. Like I had the barracks at level 2, which would allow me to get a point for each unit with 3 or more strength in your kingdom.
Right.
All 5 units on the board had 3 or more strength at the end of the game, so I got 5 extra points for it.
And how much did you beat me by? 5 points.
5 points. So that helps win just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
The first game I barely played with the buildings. I think I had 1. And this time I actually was able to get like 3 out on the table and kind of use them more. But no, I really like all the little combos and stuff and there's a lot of different combos you can kind of do and play with depending on what cards you're dealt.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different synergies that this game has, and that's what I really enjoy, is that I have a very different play style this time than I did the initial time I played. So the first time around, I was very into the resource generation, and I was building quite a bit more buildings, but I was getting slaughtered every round in the war round. This time I kind of went a little bit more heavy in terms of combat, but I didn't do it with cards that had an initially high face value. I got a couple cards that generated more attack based off of the resources that they had. And the last round, well, that's green screening quite a bit there, but I played 2 of these manticores here, which is 2 attack, and then an additional 2 attack, or 2 power rather, for each food in your kingdom. Played 2 of those, generated a bunch of food. Food also generated gold for me, and I used gold generation to power up my ogre, which is not in front of me right now, but I had an ogre that gave me additional power for each gold that I generated. So I ramped up to a point where I
had 20 power last round.
20 power, according to Steven. He has not seen 20 power before. He's doing a face palm right now. So the game is really cool in the way that it lets you ramp up with these different synergies there. And anything you want to talk about specifically?
I mean, I think you guys really hit the nail on the head. I feel like as gamers, sometimes we go through cycles of games, the kinds of games that we're into at the moment. And at Dice Tower Con, I picked up Ascension, and I've been totally in a deck building kind of mode. So I was really excited to be able to play Paper Tales because I'm totally into the whole deck building mentality right now. And you guys both talked about the synergies between the two. Paper Tales is really nice because it's a quick relatively, it's a quick game.
It's a 30-minute game. It's on the low end.
We played it. We always play twice the recommended playtime in the box because we're always discussing strategies and really trying to show you guys at home get a feel for the game. So this was a little longer, but a 30-minute deck builder is really nice because I think the most fun that you get out of a deck builder is that is the synergies and the strategies and seeing what happens when you play this card and that card, and you need to be able to play and play and play again. You need to have a lot of replayability in the game in order to really find those things. I also really like the art. The art style is very different from any other game that I have seen, and I think it's cute, it's quaint. It's simple. Steven brings a lot of European games. Stronghold Games brings a lot of European games, and they published them here in the United States. And this game is, even though he's got the English rights, it's really nice because if you don't understand what Mana Core means on this card, it doesn't matter. The iconography on these cards is very simple to follow. So I enjoyed that as well.
One thing I do want to talk about as well is that one of the problems that I typically have with deck builders is you have someone that ramps up significantly faster than others.
I hate pay to win deck builders. I like deck builders where everybody's kind of at the even hand. I mean, you have to use a little bit of resource management with your coins in the beginning to decide how many coins am I going to spend on deploying out my army and how many coins am I going to spend when it comes to any of my other resources. I saw one of these cards come through with a cost of 6 coins. So
so the point that I was making there is that every round you have a new set of cards that you are drafting from. This is from the deck. Everything's getting discarded. You have cards that are aging out of existence. So even if someone has a particularly strong round, that can be followed up by a couple of very weak rounds for them. So it's not like they're going to be maintaining a ridiculous stranglehold on the game from the get-go. So that's the nice thing, is that you've got a lot of, I want to say volatility, but kind of like motion into how the game plays, so that way one person isn't necessarily sitting there and everyone else is struggling to get second place.
There's also several ways to earn points in this game.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get the right term one more time. The legend points, which are the victory points in this game. As a certain somebody showed us, you don't always need to win the wars in the game to earn points.
Absolutely. You could very easily win this game without winning a single war if you have the right cards and the right strategy.
Yeah. And I mentioned it, the agent mechanism in this game is one of the coolest parts of it.
Absolutely.
Because it makes you constantly change out your cards, and there's a lot of different ways to play off of that and do a lot of cool different combos just off of that mechanism itself.
Right. So one of the examples there is I had the monkey, and the monkey is when he dies. So, sorry, monkey. However many aging tokens he has, that's how many gold you get. So obviously you want an older monkey. So what I did was I was able to play the Time Master, which adds aging tokens. So it artificially aged my monkey further. There was another card that I could have played if the game lasted perhaps another round, or I played the monkey earlier,
Matt,
that would have saved him from death.
Your monkey was a test subject for time travel.
There we go.
That's exactly what that is.
There we go. But so the monkey was able to generate me a ton of gold, and the last round I had 7 gold going into the final round of the game. So that was a significant boon for me because it allowed me to basically, I could pick up any card I want because I don't have to worry about paying the gold cost.
It's super important to know a couple of things before going into this game, and you mentioned gold, and I think that, you know what, I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that bit.
Okay. Josh, anything else that you want to talk about that really jumped out to you?
No, I really enjoyed the game, and I think we hit kind of on all the major points of it.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump into the constructive criticism side of things now, where we talk about, if we had the ability, any parts of the game that we would tweak if we had the chance. So I'm going to put Anne on the spot here.
Okay, so I have two things.
Okay.
One of them is kind of a heads up, which is what I started talking about before. The other one goes back to maybe my constructive criticism. It's important to know a couple of things about the game before you sit down and jump in. So as you guys, as our regular viewers at home know, typically each one of us has a different level of experience with the game before we go in. I get to be the guinea pig, and I typically go into games without knowing anything about a game just to know how to pick it up. You were mentioning gold coins.
Yep.
And it's so important to know that they mean absolutely nothing at the end of the round. Resources. Your resources don't stack. They're gone at the end of one round.
Can't bank
So,
anything.
yeah. And I think that's super important because you're only putting out 4 or 5 cards depending on how many buildings you have out, and it really limits your resources.
Absolutely.
And I'm so used to associating games where you're building buildings specifically, where you're banking resources in order to build up to do that. So the building works a little differently here, and I think you kind of got to get your head around that.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I did find a little frustrating in this game was related to the building of buildings. So you, in the base game, have an option to build one of 5 or 6 buildings.
5.
5
So
buildings.
we've got the barracks, the town, the tavern, the temple, and the mine.
In the expansion pack, when this does come out, you're going to have the option to have an additional 6 buildings. So it's great, so many buildings. I put out the tavern first, and the only reason I was able to get the town out was because I had a card that let me spend gold for wood. All of the buildings, other than the tavern, require wood to build. And I didn't find many cards as I was going through that kind of gave me an ample amount of attack or strength and wood. I would have loved to see an option in addition to the one card that happened to come out, which would have allowed me a little flexibility in my resources. The temple was nice with the ore or the coins because you have the option there, but I really would have
Yeah, wood. Yeah.
I really would have liked another option with the wood for the other 4 buildings.
You
3 buildings.
took the words right out of my mouth. I was actually going to say the same exact thing, where I really loved how the temple was one of them, and then what was the other one? The tavern.
Yep.
So these two allowed you to spend different resources. So the tavern was a meat to get a level 1, or a meat and a wood for level 2, and then the temple was ore or gold. And I actually really loved the fact that the temple was an either or scenario in order to build it. I thought that was really neat, very unique. So that flexibility is the reason I made a level 2 temple right off the bat in turn 1.
And that's a good building for the first round because
Absolutely.
the benefits stack with it. Because I was
It's continuous gold generation throughout the game.
because when I had the card that allowed me to play gold for wood, I was debating between the temple or the town, but putting out the temple didn't make sense for the resources that I would have gotten for it.
So the remaining 3 cards, you have the mine, you have the town, and you've got the barracks, which all require a wood during both the phase 1 and phase 2, or level 1 and level 2 of the buildings. I was particularly starved for wood throughout the game, so I kind of noticed at the end that I might have just played wrong in that I should have generated a little bit more wood in my final round, possibly. And I think that's, thematically that's the point, too, is you need wood to build buildings. I get it. I don't know if it's a play style
You
thing.
didn't see my shanty made out of steaks?
The steak shanty.
All right, so to feed off you guys a little bit, so this is one of the things where this game gets better as you play it more because you see strategy and stuff.
Right.
So if you look at the town, a level 1 town will give you a wood each turn.
Yeah.
So once you play, you'll be like, oh, I need more wood. Might want to do that. Other thing was I saw first round, most of the wood cards get dealt out.
Correct. So yeah,
All the wood generation happened in the first round, and most people went heavy offense instead of going for the wood, which wasn't very heavy offense. They're all 1 or 2 pointers.
He's right.
That's how this game played, so I don't want people to say that's how every game would play.
Right.
It's just the random mix of things and how things went out, and you kind of see those strategies more as you build onto the game. And then again, the expansion has 6 new buildings, which I have no idea what they used to build them and stuff. And what you do is you actually randomly pick a set of buildings. You don't use all 11 at once. So It just depends. I happened to be very fond of the woods because I had the spirit animal because
And that generated
three
woods.
woods
Yeah.
each turn, and he was really mean. So it's just it's a balance point.
What I wanted to kind of say there is like my first playthrough, I didn't notice a lot of the synergies in terms of what was available for attack versus what would be resource generation. I actually had the opposite effect where I was going far too heavy in resources because you could only build one building around.
And this time you made up with it.
By going beating the
20
crap out of
points.
everything, yeah. So I think it might, part of that is play style, and the other part is how the cards were dealt. But I would have liked to have seen maybe just a little bit more variety in terms of building the stage 1 buildings, kind of like the tavern was just a meat to build the level 1 building, and then utilizing the wood more on the stage 2. I don't think it really detracted from the game much at all, and I think that after several playthroughs that we would see kind of a normalization of the availability there. Because I did notice that the final 2 rounds, when I was actually paying attention and trying to build stuff with wood, I had no wood cards dealt to me. So one thing to point out, just so everyone knows, this is a first impression. This is basically the first time we're playing this game. So this is not your typical... I've played this game 10 times. These are my in-depth thoughts
Are
on
you
it.
saying nice things because you're worried that Steven is 5 feet behind the other side of the camera? I'm supposed to be the one that kicks the guests out because I'm worried about what they're going to think I'm going to say. What's your constructive criticism? No, I want everybody to stare.
The only I would have liked the land cost on the reference card. It wasn't there. And we actually missed that in the first game that we played, the land cost thing.
Yeah.
It would have been... It does say land plus resources on the construction phase, but it doesn't say what the land cost is. But it's a minor thing. That was... I enjoy this game. I enjoy the strategy, and I feel like this is something you can play half a dozen times and still see new things and kind of do new strategies with it. And I'm looking forward to adding the expansion in and kind of see all the new content that came out. Note, we got to see every card in the deck. We actually dealt out every single card.
Did we really?
In this round now?
In the whole, in this game.
Oh, that's cool.
We didn't have to do a shuffle or anything. We used every single card.
Gotcha. So, is there anything else that either of you would like to talk about before we go into the most important question of the evening?
That's it for me.
So, quick question for you, Josh. Were there any issues in terms of your color blindness with the game?
No, everything's all icons and stuff, and the disc colors are fine. Yeah, there's no color issues.
What are the colors of the discs?
I can't tell you that, but I can tell them all apart.
No, this is a fun game. Okay, what's that?
No, we're not doing this right now.
So, I want to point out that each of the different phase icons here not only has the icon, but it has the number of what round it is. So that was
incredibly helpful, especially when I was learning. Yeah.
So, most important question of the evening is, would you play this game again? I'm going to toss it down to you again, Josh.
Yeah, I would definitely. I want to play this with the expansion and see all the cool new stuff.
I think you really just want to play with the Lich
I kind of. That's a solo, so I can do that without you guys. I don't need you for that.
We can go hang out.
There you go. And?
Absolutely. I'm definitely in the deck builder mood in my gaming right now, and I thought that this was a lot of fun. And I kind of now feel the urge to get up to a 20-point attack.
I would definitely play this game again. I really love the deck builder aspects to it, and it's got like a little bit of an engine building thing going on with the different buildings. So I rather enjoyed that. It had meat to it, but it wasn't hefty. It wasn't like heavy in the bad way. You know what I mean? So definitely looking to play this again. Again, I agree with Josh. I would love to play it with the expansion as well.
Did it have meat and potatoes?
It had meat and potatoes, yes. So, and throwing it back to you, would you play this with your kids?
Yeah, I don't think that the game is complicated. I think that the game is challenging enough to keep them interested. I think that the iconography on the cards is easy enough to follow along with the rules. And I think that even if we missed a rule like the land cost on the buildings, that it wouldn't really influence a game between me and the kids too much. Like, I think this would be a lot of fun with them.
Sounds good. So thank all of you for watching at home. This was our first impression session of our PSI Presents of Paper Tales by Stronghold Games. Stay tuned for our live giveaway that we're going to be doing, and if you are watching video on demand, the secret code word of the evening is relics. And you could use that in the twist giveaway link that I'm about to throw there right now to enter to win your copy of Paper Tales. And as a reminder, there is also a giveaway for 10 3-packs of promo cards.
That's so nice for Stronghold to do for us.
So check that out. It's going to be on Twitter. You guys got to throw some hashtags, some ats, show your love.
There's 3 rules.
3 rules.
Okay, you need to put together a Twitter post.
'Kay.
That's the task. Rule number 1 is you need to say something nice about me. Rule number 1A is you need to tag Stronghold Games in the post. Rule number 2 is you need to tag gaming_twist in the post. And rule number 3 is you are going to use the hashtag PaperTales, TALES, rocks. Make sure that you put that post up sometime between now and July 24th, my birthday. And Mr. Bonacore himself is going to be going through the posts to pick 10. Look at 10, 5, 10 lucky winners.
So we already got 5 people going.
Remember
so.
rule number 1. That's most important. Not 1A. I mean, 1A is important, but
Okay, so this is going to be Twist Gaming signing off. We hope to see you for all of our upcoming streams. But for now, I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.